All right, this is not just the day after a verdict, a guilty verdict for a bad cop. No, this is history and an amazing opportunity for more change.
His family and our community has gone through a lot, and the country has a lot of healing left to do.
On CBS This Morning.
Today is one stop on a journey that began last May and led to protests calling for that accountability in every town and every city in America.
I love being black. I love the color of my skin. I love the color of my skin. That's the skin that I'm in. I said I love being black. I love the color of my skin.
And that is what you call jubilation.
I don't call it jubilation. I call it exploitation and monetization. This is the ultimate opportunity for more power, more money, and more fame. This episode, like so many others, being exploited by the media, by the far left. Let's go to that clip that we just saw. First of all, Stephen Colbert, get over yourself. He said that the protests last summer brought on the guilty verdict. That's not true. Chauvin was arrested just a few days later. All the rioting and the looting that we saw in the months that followed, I don't know, maybe that was just for fun, because the wheels of justice were actually moving very early in this case. Well, they don't like that. They want to say that this was good. This led to something positive. It didn't. And now the celebration, by the way, is off the charts, kind of weird. Now, that was a CBS morning show. I got to remember that growing up. It was a show for everybody. Listen to what they're saying in the opening, the feel-good opening, the, hey, it's breakfast and it's a great day in America opening.
I love being black. I love the color of my skin. I love the color of my skin. That's the skin that I'm in. I said I love being black.
I don't know. I mean, can you imagine somebody walking down the street saying, I love being white and I love the color? No, that would be, what's the word? What's the phrase? White supremacy. And that would be awful. So this is all part of some naked, raw, and awful grab for power, status, and yes, money. And who's leading it? The Biden administration, although who's really leading it is Kamala.
This verdict brings us a step closer. And the fact is, we still have work to do. We still must reform the system. America has a long history of systemic racism. Black Americans, and black men in particular, have been treated throughout the course of our history as less than human.
If I thought America was as bad as they say it is, I wouldn't live here. I just wouldn't. Why would you want to be the vice president of a systemically racist country? Look, they're just going which way the wind blows, and this is an opportunity. And Joe, by the way, he's just hanging on for dear life. He knows he's vulnerable here, both his personal history, finances, his son. I believe they're holding that over his head, big time. And also, he just doesn't want to get yelled at again. You know where the moral authority right now is in the Democratic Party? It's not with 78-year-old white men. It's with primarily women of color. Remember when Joe got yelled at by the most famous woman of color in America?
So that's where the federal government must step in. That's why we have the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. That's why we need to pass the Equality Act. That's why we need to pass the ERA, because there are moments in history where states fail to preserve the civil rights of all people.
I have supported the ERA from the very beginning when I ran for the
Vice President Biden, 30 seconds.
She did that to him on national television in front of everybody. What happens behind closed doors? Virtue signaling, this kind of cheap rhetoric, it's a hell of a lot more fun, and it's a hell of a lot easier than tackling real issues, like crime going up incredibly, hugely all over the country. Look at these numbers. This is a real problem. Also, talking like Kamala does and so many on the left, it's a lot more fun than confronting this, which is really surprising to a lot of people. Take a look at this. People shot to death by police in 2021, 213 total deaths, 30 of them, just 30 black individuals. That's interesting. Doesn't go with the narrative, does it? So what are people doing right now? They're trying to milk this thing, especially media personalities. And I'd like to just dismiss them, but they're important. They actually are important, and people watch these shows. How about The View? I actually have not watched it in a long time. Now, everybody on the show is trying to, carve out a little niche for themselves. Whoopi is Whoopi, Joy is Joy. Meghan McCain, she has to make a spectacle out of herself because, I don't know, she doesn't have that much going on. But on the one next to Meghan, that's Sunny. Sunny is her name. And this was her moment. Now, she's a lawyer. And, listen to what she said yesterday after the verdict.
Black men and black boys are killed by police with impunity in this country, and that is just the truth.
Wow, with impunity. No concern or threat of punishment. With impunity. That's a hell of a statement on national television for a lawyer. Used to be able to be disbarred for some of that stuff. There's more.
I am the mother of an 18-year-old boy who is now in South Africa, and I feel that he is safer in South Africa than he is in his own country.
There's more, I'm sorry.
I am so relieved that this is what justice finally looks like for my community.
All right, a couple of things here. Let's talk about our community. We looked it up. We're not going to say which specific community it is, but it is a very wealthy enclave in the suburbs of New York City where the average income is over $900,000 a year. She mentioned her 18-year-old son who's spending time in South Africa. There he is. His name is Gabe. Seems to be having the time of his life. He's also enrolled at Harvard University, this systemically racist country that she seems to hate so much. Would he really be better off in South Africa? That's quite a statement, too. We looked it up. Here are some crime figures. Crime in South Africa, the 5th most dangerous country in the world, 58 murders per day. Is South Africa the place to be? I don't think so, but saying this kind of crazy stuff and being able to cry on camera, that enhances her status, not so much with the audience, but with the bosses. There's all kinds of weird stuff going on in corporate America right now. So when she's on that show with The View, this is leverage. This enhances her status on screen and off. Something is going on, and it's not good. Being able to lie look, Sunny, with her experience, and anybody else who wants to tackle the real issues can do so. At one point, Barack Obama was not afraid to talk about some of those real issues.
Too many fathers are MIA. Too many fathers are AWOL. Missing from too many lives and too many homes. They've abandoned their responsibilities. They're acting like boys instead of men. You and I know this is true everywhere, but nowhere is it more true than in the African American community. We know that more than half of all black children live in single-parent households. We know the statistics that children who grow up without a father are 5 times more likely to live in poverty and commit crime. They're 9 times more likely to drop out of school, 20 times more likely to end up in prison.
Those are really sobering numbers, and the problem is enormous. And fixing it, very, very difficult. So it's no fun, and it's not profitable. What's profitable is blaming cops and lawsuits and all that kind of stuff. Now we have our most recent high-profile incident of police violence. It happened in Columbus, Ohio. This, it looks, I'm sorry, like a pretty legitimate use of police force. Take a look.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? Hey, get down, get down, get down, get down.
Tough to watch. A lot happens there. Police were called because a woman had a knife and was threatening to stab people. And she came out and she was, in fact, stabbing somebody. Let's take that full. You can see the knife in her hand. And then she raises her fist to stab that woman in the pink. This happens. It's pretty clear cut, right? Right. But, hey, 'tis the season to protest anything cops do. especially something like this. So it started pretty much right away. Her name was Micaiah, and you see it. LeBron James got involved. The basketball player put out this creepy tweet. That's the police officer involved who fired the gun. He puts out, "You're next." Now, what the hell kind of statement is that? Now, again, the police were called by somebody in that home because somebody in that home was stabbing people. And the cop came and found her trying to stab somebody. Conservative thinker Matt Walsh put it this way. Can we put it up on the screen, please? What has this world come to when a girl can't even peacefully stab another girl in the gut with a butcher knife without the cops getting involved? He's obviously being very sarcastic and very wise at the same time. All right. You know what's kind of influencing a lot of this stuff? The money that's flowing around big time. Now, in the wake of George Floyd, Floyd family settled with the city of Minneapolis for $27 million. That is a lot of money. And I think it has incentivized a lot of others because Floyd's not the only one they settled with, the Floyd family. The list goes on and on. There is big money out there to be had. What do you think? Could this be motivating things? And lawyers getting involved? You know, they get a pretty big cut of that stuff. Now, I want to talk about some of these so-called peaceful protests that took place around the country in the aftermath of the Chauvin verdict. Right here in New York City, everybody said they were peaceful. Not really. You can't take over a street and it be peaceful. It's illegal to take over a street. If I decided to have a MAGA parade on 3rd Avenue, that would be a problem, right? If traffic had to stop as I wave my Make America Great sign with 2,000 of my friends, we'd be locked up. But here in New York, if you're on the left, that's okay. And if you feel like harassing innocent people who are minding their own business, go right ahead.
We don't want you here. 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 We don't want your money. We don't want your money. We don't want your taquerias. Owned by white men.
They have the cultural upper hand in New York. That is normal in New York. And those people, they're shaming those people for spending money at a local business. Can you believe it? They don't want their money, but interesting how he changes his tune on the way out. I guess he got a dirty look from one of the waiters. I don't blame the waiter at all. Listen to this.
Tip 30%.
A little bit of truth seeped in there. Looked like a virtue signaling shakedown, but we want more money out of you, huh? This is a disgraceful power grab, money grab, and status grab. Don't fall prey to it. Stand up for yourselves. We got to help each other out, no matter what your color. Your voice is important. We'll be right back.
You just watched NewsMax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get NewsMax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry NewsMax, call them, tell them you want NewsMax TV, because we're real news for real people.